Very good. Very good. Okay, we're here for the second class of the iRx factor. Remember, last year we called this the God factor class. And just to make sure that we understand this, the small I stands for ourselves, working from the Spirit, working to help the world and other people. It's the selfless version of I. Okay? Capital R is our journey. It's the revelations that occur in the ability to help others. What's going to be revealed? How will it turn out? Well, we're not sure how it'll turn out. That's a small x. But that's the final destination, the small x. R is the journey. We want to really capitalize on that and find out how we can improve in this process. So the iRx factor is a series of techniques that will allow you, meditative techniques, that will allow you to get closer to the divine in a very fast, simple way. So, since we're talking about the divine, and we did a lot of work last week on this, let's get a couple of good stories about gratitude. Now, Dr. Mullen, you had a great one, so would you mind starting us off?
All right. When I come going to work, where I run security for a few bars, I have to come up I-35 and go across like 8 lanes of traffic to use the 45 interchange. If you guys know what that's like, it's like a demolition derby. I almost died one night doing that. The next time I came up, before I got to the intersection, I said, hey, universe, I would really be grateful if I could not die while getting to work. If you can do anything about that, I would be very thankful. And I got to the intersection, and there was a break in the immense amount of traffic that is usually there, and I got right across. Every time subsequent to then, going on probably 30 or 40 times now, every single time I've gone there, there has been no traffic for me to go across, and 3 times, because I decided that if I died doing that, my wife would kill me. I didn't even look to see if there was traffic across 8 lanes. I just went across 8 lanes of traffic. I stopped doing that, by the way.
Very good. Very good. One more story. Anyone? Come on.
I'm going on a trip, and it's going to require some additional items that I don't have. And a friend of mine, I felt like she might have some things that she wouldn't mind lending me, so I talked to her about it. She says, oh, come on over, and so she just, like, really loaded me up. I couldn't believe it. I said, aren't you going to use any of these items? She's going on the same trip. And she said, no, I'm not showing you anything that I'm going to use. Everything else, I've just got lots of stuff, and I couldn't believe it. But I still needed a couple things. And another friend of mine that lives in another state, she knew about this trip, and she calls me up, and she says, do you have everything you need for this trip? And I said, well, actually, I borrowed a lot of things, but there's a couple things I still need. Of course, she had them, and she shipped them to me, and I'm like, this is so lovely. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay. In preparing for this class, I went into a meditative state last week, and I was talking to God and asking, what makes you the most upset about us as human beings? He's saying, you're too slow. And I was asking, what do you mean we're too slow? And he goes, you're too slow to ask for forgiveness. You're too slow to accept forgiveness. So I said, well, what does that mean? And he goes, well, look, we all commit sins, self-imposed nonsense, right? We all commit sins. He understands that. But he wants us to get back into that relationship with him very quickly, because in general, when we commit sins, at least from what he's saying, we go into our brain, or judgment side, remember, anger, frustration, or the heart, fear, doubt, uncertainty, the human side that separates us from God. Now we start creating these problems. Because he said, not only do you separate yourself from me, meaning God, but you're now creating very, very serious circumstances in your body. Now, it was a long day. He tells me this, and I fall asleep. I fall asleep just as he's getting to the point of what these serious problems are. But I figured in the morning I'd be able to just scan, get back into it, and figure out what the answers are. Well, the next day, I wake up, and I look through some of the new mail that comes, and I get this information about a Dr. Hammer. Dr. Hammer, and we'll go into the German pronunciation here. It's an interesting character. Okay. Now, I never heard of this gentleman before. what was interesting was that he was a German oncologist in the 1970s. And he had a son, a very young son, who died tragically, unexpectedly. Very shortly after that, he develops cancer. He's an oncologist. Okay? Now, he's a smart man. He's a brain person. So he's beginning to think that my son dies, I develop cancer, is there a correlation? So he looked through his patients' files, and he evaluated a large number, well over several hundred patients, and he saw that almost in every case that there was cancer, there was some type of traumatic event that preceded it. So then he started researching more and more files. In a period of 10 years, he examined over 40,000 files, case histories of people who had cancer. In almost every case that they had cancer, they had some type of traumatic event that happened. So again, being a smart man, he's thinking, well, if I'm getting some type of resistance in my body, where does it lie in my body? This is a conventional medical doctor who's asking some very good questions. Being a brain person, being a medical doctor, what do you think he goes to? He goes to the brain. So he says that these problems were lodged in the brain. When we have a trauma, a shock, it gets lodged in our brain and literally creates damage in the brain. So he does MRIs on many people, all these cancer patients. They actually found lesions in the brain. They're called hammer foci. Okay, these are concentric lesions at different parts of the brain, depending on how deep they are, depending on where they are, will determine the type of cancer a person gets. Sounds kind of interesting, doesn't it? Yeah. Now, he got tremendously good results treating his patients. Guess what happened? Shut him down. They threw him in jail. Okay. Germany has an AMA just like we do. And cancer is just as big a business there as it is here. In the 1970s, when he was doing this work, 1 out of 10 people were getting cancer and heart disease. Today, it's 3 out of 10. And it's going higher. Okay? So it's big business. He was thrown in jail, but here's where it gets interesting also. The prosecutor went through 6,500 cases that this man worked at and helped people recover. 6,500 people. Out of the 6,500, 6,000 terminal patients, recovered out of the 6,500. But he was still thrown in jail. But my point is this. God was just ready to tell me what happens to us when we separate ourselves from Him. It creates serious problems. I get this information about Dr. Hammer. So I start scanning, because I can pick up Dr. Hammer even if he's crossed over. It doesn't matter. Okay? So I start talking to God, I start talking to Dr. Hammer, and I'm asking, is it really true that when we start having these problems, do we always lodge it in the brain? Guess what? The answer is no. No, not all the time. We do lodge it in the brain, but there's more to the story. Okay? So I started asking, there are 11 body systems, including the brain. Okay? Where does it go? Well, let me show you where it goes. Storage sites of traumatic events, the first area that it's stored in is the urinary system. Okay? The bladder, kidneys, okay? Prostate, okay? Associated areas in that area, in that spot. Now, if those insults are added long enough to the urinary system, it goes into the lymphatic and the immune system. That's the second area, okay, that's trying to hold on to more and more of these problems, these energetic problems. Now, when that gets filled up, then it gets into the brain and nervous system. So he was right, it does go there, but it's third on the list. Okay. And then after the brain and nervous system, it gets into the heart. Okay. Now after there, hey, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we've got a serious problem going on when it gets through all of those areas. So I started asking, what do we do for it? Because his version of helping was psychotherapy, okay, doing maybe conventional chemo or whatever they were doing at the time, and then asking the person to take action. In other words, if they lost their job, it was a traumatic event that caused them to say to lose a job, go back and get a job. If you have a divorce, well, go out and start dating, okay? So I asked them to take action, did some type of treatment, okay, and then they did some type of therapy, some psychotherapy to help them. Well, I don't believe in most of that, So I started asking, what's better than that? What will do better than that for every person? I went through 80 different methods. The Sedona method, psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, all types of herbology, okay? A lot of other techniques I was looking at. Out of all those techniques, guess what came up first as the best one?
Meditation.
But guess what form of meditation? What we're doing. That was number one. Number two on the list was to use the therapies that we've been developing for this meditation, especially the essential oils, like the Spirit RX, the Stress RX. Okay. Now, we're going to go into the third and fourth areas next week, and we're going to be testing sites like this next week. But I wanted to give you the introduction to the story, because this is fascinating. Now, I was checking my patients this week, and I wasn't telling them what I was finding, but in every case that I was checking, it always came up that the first area where they were having trouble with holding on to energetic problems was the urinary system. It didn't jump down in here, it started there, in every case. Okay? So it was interesting when I was talking to people that were having issues there, and I was asking them questions this week, and it was beautiful. The way they were giving me information, it was verifying that this is where the problems were first, in the urinary area. Okay? So what happens is that once these traumas get locked into the body, they start breaking us down. They literally start breaking us down. Now, does it have to be one single traumatic event? No. No. By the time we get to be past 40, by that time we probably have fought quite a few battles. And there are probably quite a few battles, even if they're small, that are locked into this urinary system. I'm sure losing a child or something that traumatic would be the final push that you need, but I can guarantee you in most cases, we're already there, all of us, in some form. Okay. So next week, we're going to be testing these areas next week, and I'll give you some methods on how to get rid of all this, because that's where I'm going with this, and how we can start changing these old stories. This will be part of this technique, this new technique we're developing. Okay. Now, in the meantime, in order to get to this, we're going to be doing muscle testing. So tonight, I have an expert muscle tester. Okay. Dr. Mullen's going to take us through this so we can have some practice this week. All right?
Simple solution to complex problem.
There you go. So he'll take us through this, and then you'll be able to practice on yourself, get ready for next week, and we can start moving on. Okay?
Hi, I'm the man formerly known as Dr. Mullen, kind of like Prince. Most people just call me Scott or Doc, it's fine. We went over this for some of you, not all of you, so we're going to go back to the basics of muscle testing. So if I can get a volunteer up here, we're going to be working on true name, false name, and some point moving around energetically and see what we get. Everybody feel saucy? Come on, I won't bite hard. Come on. All right, let's go over the quick review before we start. Okay, muscle testing, the things you want to avoid are leaning on the arm, because I can make her, because I'm 3 times her size, check anything I want. Should I give Dr. Mullen more money? Yes. Should I massage his feet? Yes. That's not what we're trying to do. The first step in this is trying to get kind of a feel for how much pressure you're putting on the person. Okay, and I usually like to use generally 2 fingers, because that keeps me from taking my whole hand in my palm and leaning all of my weight onto people. The other thing we want to avoid is staying up there for too long. Because if I had her hold her arm up like this while I'm talking, by the time I'm done talking, she's already fatiguing. So then when I ask the question, oh, yeah, there we go. So don't mess around. Have them put their arm up, put your fingers on, get the job done as fast as humanly possible. So right now we're going to go through one of the most basic ones ever, true name, false name, and we're going to have her put her finger on her nose to interrupt some of the energetics there. So, in your mind, you can just think of your true name,
Okay.
or what you call yourself on the inside. That's fine, because it's not always the same thing that's on our birth certificates. And I'm going to test you, so tell me when you're ready to go.
Ready.
Good. Okay, put that down. All right, clear it out. Somebody pick a random name. Give me a name of somebody you don't like. Give me a name.
Gertrude.
There you go. Now, say inside your head that you are Gertrude. Let's see what happens. I'm going to use one finger. Okay, back to true name.
Okay.
What I want you to do is I want to take your opposite hand and I want you to place it between your eyebrows. Not on your third eye, but on the bridge of your nose. And let's go with true name and see what happens. Okay, good. Shake it out a little, I know. It's working out here. We have to get you to the gym, do some lateral raises, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a bodybuilder. It doesn't matter if it's a little old lady from Pasadena. It doesn't really make a difference. As long as they can hold their arm up, generally this will work. Now, it's not 100%. Nothing's 100%. All right, let's try the opposite. So now, go with Gertrude. Finger on nose. Let's see what happens. So, the finger on the nose is interrupting some of the energy. The true name, false name is the main part here. Now, if you have sinus issues, if I have you put your finger in your nose, you're probably going to break almost no matter what I tell you. Okay, because you've already got an issue there. The energetics are kind of squirrely there. Put your finger on there. She doesn't seem to be having a whole lot of issues with her sinuses right now. So, I think that's okay. We could also do this in any chakra point, or really any point between the chakra points. But for right now, what I want you guys to do is I'm going to ask for 2 or 3 more volunteers, and then I'm going to have you do it to each other. Okay? Any questions on this? It's very simple.
When you had her say her real name and she put her finger up here, the finger disrupts the energy, so shouldn't that have been weak?
If there's no real problem there, it's not necessarily going to disrupt. It depends on what we're dealing with. Sometimes people are reversed. Sometimes you're going to get an answer that's exactly the opposite of what you are. Then you got to test to see if they're reversed.
Scott, could you use your finger on the bridge of
Yes,
your
we
nose?
could do that too, because then my energy will interfere with hers a little bit. So let's go true name first and see what we got. Or, how about better yet, you pick.
I pick what, a name?
Oh, just pick what you true name. I don't need to know. Don't tell me, and we'll figure it out from the muscle test.
Oh, okay, gotcha, all right.
Okay. Ready?
All right, yes.
All right. Do the opposite.
Okay.
And obviously, strong. So, my energy is pretty clean generally, and I don't generally interfere since I actually know how to keep myself out of patients' auras generally, except for when Patrick was doing his thing and he asked me to back the hell off. I was scanning. I was curious as to what he was doing.
You're
And
in the middle of it, weren't you?
I did get in the middle. I'm sorry. I got an idea. Sandra, can I borrow you? No, I need you.
Oh, okay.
One more thing. Let's see what happens. Are you left hand or right hand?
I'm right
You might be too good. I need some amateurs. I need an amateur. Give me an amateur who's not used to energy work. Anyone?
You're not picking me, I know.
No, I'm not. Well, if you've done this for a long time, you've done energy work for a long time, you learn to stay out of people's flow when you're trying to do things, because it's kind of like sticking your head into the water to try and see what's at the bottom of it. It just doesn't work very well. So, right hand or left hand? Okay, give me your left hand, put it on the bridge of her nose. Pick one, I don't care. Strong. Is it reversed?
Yes.
Okay.
That's reversed. Absolutely reversed. That was
Okay.
Gertrude.
All right, so again, when the energy flow is reversed, we're going to get some swirly answers. So I don't want this to confuse you guys too much. It's a little bit deeper than we want to go tonight, but as we get better at this, what you're going to find is, the first thing out of my mouth was it's reversed. Because I could tell by the way she was moving, and that was not quite as solid as her true name, that there was something going on there, and most likely it was that we were dealing with something else. So what I want is someone else to come up here. Thank you so much.
What makes it reverse? That's what we don't know?
Well, our energetics make it reverse. If we had a bad day, if we move through some other people's energies or other intangible things, energies that are not particularly good, almost anything can reverse you. And sometimes people are reversed for very long periods of time. I've had patients who read exactly the opposite for years. And for whatever reason, they just, in my experience, a few of them just never went back the other direction. Now, I didn't have the tools that he has given me now. I only had the tools that were given me in chiropractic school and Reiki master training and all that stuff. And they didn't seem to be up to the task on a couple of people. I suspect that if I had these tools to work with, I could have switched them back the other direction permanently. But, you know, nothing's 100% in this universe.
Isn't it strange, though, that you put your hand there and I put my hand there, but it wasn't until she put hers there that I was reversed?
It's a little bit strange, but part of it is it's your hand, so it's your energy. If there wasn't a problem there, it will flow. My energy is going to avoid getting in the way of your energy just because I've done this for
Okay.
25 years.
I see. Okay.
With a person who doesn't do energy work, her energy is going to be a lot more chaotic than mine, and you're used to your own energy. So when she got you, then she actually flipped you.
Interesting.
So again, it gets a little confusing because we can, if you're not careful, you can get the answers you want by forcing it. But this is just like we were talking about last week and the week before, or the times before. You want to get out of your own way, okay? And half of that is not having an expectation. Your expectations will also come out if they are too strong sometimes. So you have to be a little bit careful about what you want out of this. Sometimes that's why it's best not to know what the answer is on the inside of her head. Could have had her said that. You could have said that out loud, right? But if you said that out loud, then I would have had an expectation of what I was going to get, and then I would have had a problem if I was right or wrong, knowing whether you reversed or not, knowing if I was getting accurate information or not. Does that make sense? So in the beginning, you're going to mess this up. So accept that. It's just the way it's going to be. But what I want is somebody else. Let's do another person. We'll do true name, false name. Anyone? Anyone? Any other questions while she's coming up?
Why didn't you reverse her? It doesn't matter. Why didn't you reverse?
I reversed. She was only temporarily reversed. She was actually
okay.
reading correctly originally.
Yes.
Once she touched her, that flipped her energetics. Once she stopped touching her, she's not reversed anymore, so she doesn't need to be flipped.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
What's the most accurate way for her to test herself?
We're going to get to that.
Good, good, good.
This is the basis right now. Testing yourself is actually a lot harder in many ways because you already have expectations on the inside. You already have heart and mind. No, I'm being dyslexic. I'm reversed. You already have what you expect to get, and that's a problem because you have needs and wants, and your brain and your heart get in the way. So this is the first step. When you do another person, this is a lot cleaner way to learn this. So you get the feel for it first, and then once we get that down pretty well pat, then we'll start to go on to how to muscle test yourself and to move on into doing that. It is a lot harder because, again, until you learn to get out of your own way, it's very difficult to muscle test yourself. Okay, the young man who was in a few times ago, he was very good at it, and that's fine. Not everybody is good at that in the beginning, but this is the first step on the ladder to get to that point. If you don't do this, it is very, very difficult to get out of your own way. Trust me on this. I've agonized over a lot of this for many moons, trying to get it right and over-brain or over-heart it. And once you get into spirit, it's a lot easier. So try and stay in spirit when you're doing this. That keeps a lot of the brain and heart from interfering with the energetics, and that'll work a little bit better. How are you?
Good.
All right, we're going to do the same thing. I want you to pick a name. Well, give me your true name first, and give me your arm out.
Okay.
Well, I just want to test to make sure you're not reversed. Strong. Okay. Pick a name of somebody you don't like.
Okay.
Preferably a girl. Give me a guy if you want. That would actually make it even squirrelier, probably. Okay, give me an arm. Do it again. She was fighting me. Relax. Just hold the arm up. Don't think about fighting me, because she was thinking about fighting me, and then the arm started going up. So one of the things you're going to see is when people are trying to fool you to see what's going to go, I'm going to hold my arm even harder this time. That's fine. They're going to do that. But what you're going to feel is you're going to start to feel their arm raise against you before you start putting on pressure. So watch that. Because she didn't do it on purpose. She's not doing it to screw with me. She's doing it subconsciously. It's fine. It's not a big deal. So let's do this again. Shake it out. Arms down. Shake it out. Okay. Arm back up. Name you don't like. There you go. So now we got those. So let's do your true name. Put your finger on between your eyebrows, right there on the bridge of your nose. There you go. You can put two. Other hand.
Oh, other hand?
Yeah, because I'm on this side. Arm out. True name. Strong. Okay. Let's do the same thing. False name. the name you don't like. Okay, very weak. Can I borrow you again?
She's reversed.
See what happens on this phone.
Oh, we already made you a victim, so we're gonna do it again. Left-handed or right-handed? Put the left hand on there. All right, pick a name. Strong. She started flipping her head there at the end.
Yeah.
Didn't you? Because she went strong, and she's like, wait, the other name is what? And then she started.
Yeah, I started.
Right? Right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's funny.
Once you get good at this, you're going to start to get a feeling for this, and the strange thing is that it becomes less physical, it becomes more of a feeling and a spiritual, and especially if you already have gotten into spirit, you're going to get more information than you probably should from just a muscle test. Okay, but that does take time. This is the first step on the ladder, so this is what I want you guys to do. Should I do one more?
Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Come on, victims. Come on. All right. Yeah, the people who do a lot of energy work, it's a little harder because, again, we have control of our energy, so we can actually flip it upside down and left and right at will.
We
So
could play games with you.
we can play games with it. Yeah. Well, I do that when I would go to some of the fairs just to mess with some of the people, just to see if they knew what they were talking about. But as people who know me say, I'm kind of a dick sometimes. But I've gotten better. All right.
Make good YouTube video.
Yes. All right, let's do true name. Arm out. Strong, good. All right, think of the person you least like in the world. Think of a male you least like in the world, and say say it's your name on the inside of your head. Look at the expression on her face.
I don't know, I have to think right now.
You don't like him? Come on, there's got to be one guy you don't like. Donald Trump. Come on, then female. Female you don't like. It doesn't have to be hatred. It could just be.
Can it be just a name that I don't like?
It could just be a name you don't like. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to put you in a totally negative. We'll clean you up if we have to. All right, arm out. Give me a name you don't like a lot. So again, I'm not really pushing very hard. I could actually put the weight of my arm on her arm. It would probably go down anyway. Before that, I could have probably rested the weight of my arm with a few pounds of pressure on top of that. And remember, we're also dealing with a long lever arm here. Okay, so even a few pounds of pressure out here actually multiply down there. All right. Other hand, yeah, shake it out a little. Come on. Left hand between the eyebrows, arm out. Pick one or the other. Doesn't matter to me. That was what name you didn't like. Correct?
Yes.
All right. You guys got a feel for this? Questions?
Would you mind if you got a pair of people to do it in front of you so they could work on each other?
Sure, sure. Can I have somebody else to come up here and not have me do it and have them do it together and I'll just supervise? Is that what
Right.
you're talking about? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, that's good. Somebody? Anybody? Come on.
Dennis.
Dennis,
Yeah.
come on.
volunteer me?
Yeah.
I believe I
I've been all given so far, I got him there.
have faith in Dennis.
I do too.
I'm a woman.
Well, I mean, of the victims.
Oh, okay. Big news. Yeah, there you go. All right, so same thing. You take my place. I'm going to stand over here. I'm going to sit in your chair and be you for now. No, I won't do that. All right. So, ask her to, pick a name.
All right, pick a name. Pick your name.
Any name?
No, just
Pick either one. Choose. You choose. Don't tell him.
Okay.
And then give him an arm.
Be Esmeralda. Or
Yeah, 2 fingers
Harriet.
at her wrist. Push.
And Strong.
Strong. Her true name. Was it- Yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Finger between the eyebrows. Pick a random name. Give him an arm.
Yeah.
She's not reversed, so it was the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions? That's what, 100% so far?
Do you mind if they reverse and?
Yeah, let's have her do Dennis. That's a good plan. Okay.
Esmeralda.
Harriet.
All right. 2 fingers on his wrist. Push. Strong. Good.
Right.
Pick one you don't like so we can get a baseline. Good.
Yeah, it was Berman.
Well. The drag show will miss Irma. Okay, let's do finger. See if he's got sinus. Push, 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 push. Okay. True name? Okay. All right.
So the purpose for putting the finger is for what reason? I mean, if they're doing it themselves.
Well, if they're doing it themselves, I just blanked out. Wow, that was weird. Sorry, my dog just popped in my head. I don't know why that is. I wish she could just die. Okay. Anyway, sorry, Gary. Why are we putting our finger in the middle? Or I just blanked out.
Well, that's the question. I'm
That's the
sure people are
question.
going to be confused.
Yes.
Yeah.
But why?
What is the
Yes.
answer?
The
Why?
answer
Hang on.
is-
I'm rebooting right now. Sorry.
Oh.
Say the question again, please. Repeat the question.
What is the finger doing in the middle
What's the
of?
purpose of that?
Yeah.
This is bizarre. I just totally blanked, Gary.
Your dog is coming through very strong. Right. Yeah.
Okay. In general, when we put a finger on anything, a chakra, we're just trying to interrupt the flow of energy. Okay. Sometimes when it's us, it doesn't necessarily interrupt the flow of energy. If there was an actual physical problem there, if you had a sinus issue, you would actually usually get a weakening that doesn't have anything to do with what your thought process is. That's the generalities. In specific, I'm really having a hard time standing here right now. This is weird. Anyway, sorry, I'm blanking out here. Question?
Yes. When he touched between the eyes, that's the interrupt, and he was thinking of his real name, and it was strong. So why didn't it go weak? If it's an interrupt, you should get the wrong
Well,
answer.
if it's truly interrupting his energy, that would be true. But since it's not, and it was his true name, it obviously wasn't. When we have other people doing it, though, their energy is going to interact with our energy a lot differently. If they're energy workers, like I said, it's a little bit different because we've learned to keep our energy kind of out of the mix because it's very hard to diagnose people when your energy is in there kind of juggling things around. When we have people who do not do energy work, their energy is a lot more chaotic. So when you put your finger there, it's kind of like putting your finger on the electrical switch and turning it on or off. That's why we're getting the interrupts with people who are not as good at this and have a habitual habit of keeping their energy work away from interrupting energy flow. My job as doing energy work is to not interrupt energy flow. This is an example of how to do that. So it's hard for me to actively interrupt his energy flow because that's not something we would do in practice when we're healing people. It's just not kind of a normal thing.
Could we do one thing?
Sure.
Nita, could you imagine in your mind as you're going to Dennis and you're touching this area here, can you imagine that you're interrupting Dennis's energy flow?
All right, but am I actually going to touch him?
Yes, you're going
All
to
right.
touch him, but imagine in your mind that as you're
Yes.
putting your finger there, that his entire energy gets chaotic
Yes,
in your mind,
yes.
okay? I'm curious.
And then check
Okay.
his arm.
Okay. All right. Think true name.
Okay.
Now you think disrupting.
Right hand?
Don't touch him.
Doesn't
I'm
matter.
right hand, left hand.
Either right hand should be fine. Okay. Remove hand. Remove hand. True name. Much stronger. Okay. Yeah. So there's the interrupt. I guess none of us were thinking hard enough about interrupting his energy because we've all been actually doing this for a while, and that's probably part of the issue. So if you guys want to practice thinking about interrupting the energy flow or not, another way to do that, and the way that I used to demonstrate this to students was doing this. Think true name. So if you go this way with just the aura, I don't even have to touch him necessarily. And now, true name. Now, true name. So it's another way to do the same thing, okay? It's also funny to do to people who are wrestlers because they get very weak for a split second and they don't know what happened. But, I would never do that. All right, anybody else have questions? So we're just trying to see if we can interrupt their energy flow. Again, we're not trying to think horrible thoughts about them. We're just trying to think of pressing that button and interrupting the circuit for a split second. Because if you think more than that and start throwing that stuff into them, then we're going to have problems. Gary and I are going to have to fix them. So, you know, we don't need hateful, horrible thoughts towards these people. You don't need that. All you have to do is think, I want their energy flow to be disrupted for the next 3 seconds. And that's all you need. And be careful of the other things you think while you're doing that.
Why do you need it to be interrupted?
It's just trying to show you guys how the energy is flowing. This is more of a teaching exercise than it is an actual healing exercise. You guys are just trying to learn to trust the actual muscle testing. What did I get, 100% tonight? So, you know, and that's fine when it's me, but we're trying to get you guys to be able to do this. When you do that, and you know on the inside of your head that I thought disrupt his energy, he's thinking his true name, which we know is strong, and his arm goes, okay, this works. So it's really about you guys getting faith in the process. It's not to hurt him. So again, we're not going to do this to heal people. This is just to get you guys to have faith in the process.
Yes, when you do the arm upwards, is to give more energy, and then that backwards is.
Yes, this down tends to disrupt the energy flow, especially since when I'm doing that, I'm also thinking disrupt the energy flow.
So it will happen if you go hands upwards and then you're sinking downwards. What will happen?
That's a good question. It depends on the practitioner. It depends on what their control of their energy is. It depends on their mind and what their particular abilities are. Some people can do a lot with their mind. Generally, I don't have to do a lot with my physical body anymore. I can do a lot with my mind. But back in the day when I was doing it all physically, that would have been stronger than my mind. Now my mind would probably be stronger than that. I could probably reverse it. We could try that if you guys are curious.
How long when you have the energy up, how long it will last to that patient? If you
it
work
would-
in the hospital, if the patient is so
It
drowsy,
would- it would-
cannot talk to you, you can
It would
just do
only
this, get
last for
answers.
seconds, maybe minutes. It depends on your personal skill and your personal reservoir of energy. Until I met Gary, I was very bad at asking the universe for energy because I always felt that somebody else needed it more. I thought it was a zero-sum game. If somebody wins, somebody has to lose. So I didn't want to take energy from the universe. Now that I understand that the energy is kind of is infinite and I'm not taking away from any other being in the universe, I have a much larger cache of energy to work from. Now my personal cache of energy is ridiculously large because I've been doing this for a long time without asking for help. Now, stupid, yes. Noble, maybe. But it will only last for seconds, maybe minutes, depending on your skill. You can try it. But it does help if you think, you know, energize these people up a little bit. And in the beginning, it helps to touch them. The touch is always going to help a little bit, okay? Because the closer to contact you are, the easier it is for the people at the beginning of this. I can do this across the country, across the world, across the universe if I have to. But in the beginning, it's very difficult to do that because of your belief systems that ain't going to work.
When you touch it, is there a special way to touch it to get more effective?
Go with your gut. Feel what feels right to you. It's not going to be the same for you as it is for me.
The best way would be for them to experience it.
The best way is for you guys to do exactly what we're doing right now. Grab a partner and practice and ask the questions as they come up. Try it the way I did it. Try it the way you feel like doing it. See which one works better. If we run into a wall, we'll bring you guys up front and we'll see what we can see.
Sure.
All right?
So if you guys, go ahead. Sam.
Would it be too disruptive to just spend a moment sending energy to the dog?
Well, you could, but there is a bigger story here.
Okay.
Well, we'll take care of that.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay now. It just kind of came and whacked me from left field there in the middle of that question.
It's okay. So how about if you guys get up, find your partner, test them, test each other.